Story 1. If they already have a name, then they keep it. Otherwise, it's just a vibe that comes in the moment as you meet them. Story 2. We named our latest bonded pair of kittens after people we admired. The male kitten is named after our former veterinarian who passed away, and the female is named after an elderly neighbor who has also passed. Story 3. It comes naturally to me when I see them. I like to name them with human names. My cat's name is Jake Oliver. Story 4. Dog 1. Apache, because he is a shepherd cattle dog mix, and his fur has Apache tone. We also adopted him from Apache Junction, Arizona. Dog 2. Zuni, because his fur is black and white, the color of Zuni pottery. Dog 3. Shadow. She was found in the middle of nowhere, and my friends coaxed her into their van. I work with dog rescues, so they asked me to find a home for her. While she stayed with me as a foster, she wouldn't leave my side. She was essentially my shadow. Dog 4. Cash. He was a rescue, and we didn't name him. He is a large goofball. Cat. George. He just struck me as a George. Story 5. What was easy for my daughter to say is Kiwi. It is very close to how she pronounced kitty when she was 2. Story 6. We have no specific way. It's just whatever comes to mind. Cats. Oliver, Bruce Wayne, Snowball, Ladybug, Shadow, Tiger, Stripes, Cotton, Tulia, Spots, Scooter, Mittens, Socks, Tux, Ashes. Dogs. Brandy, Sparky, Rascal, Cole, Nellie, Lady, Sassy, Sissy, Gidget, Biscuit, Bella, Zeus, Rusty, Ruby, Precious, Gizzy, Ozzy, Skippy. That's just to name a few. We had many stray cats and helped with an animal rescue operation for a while, so there were many pets passing through. That's not even getting started on the potbelly pigs, chickens, horse, donkey, and peacocks we also had. Story 7. Atlas and Galita, with Atlas inspired by Atlastavy on Instagram and Galita influenced by Kreutzberg pigeon Pigetta, will be referred to as Galita in my language. Story 8. My cat was named Deathwing because she made it clear as a kitten that she is a destroyer of worlds. My dog, Eddie, retained his name because it suited him just fine. Story 9. I give them names based on what I am currently obsessed with. I was obsessed with Hamilton when I got my current cat, but I couldn't name her Hamilton since she is a female, so her name is Peggy. Story 10. My nickname was Little Devil for years, so I wanted a Lilith to keep me company. The second cat was extremely sweet and affectionate. He was off-white with orange spots, so he became Sutlak. The third cat ran into our home, dropped our sugar jar, and after it broke, rolled on top of the sugar, all in 3 seconds. Her name is Princess Sugar. We also have 2 bunnies. One is named Bunny and the other is named Red because his eyes are red. P.S. I'm dyslexic and tired. I apologize for any mistakes. Story 11. I named my late dog after a character in a book, and the one I have now is named after a character from an anime I was watching when we picked him up. Story 12. One of my cats kept the name from the previous owner. The other I renamed to Pilgor, the name of the goat Kenny had on an episode of Kenny vs. Spenny. Rest in peace to those cute little babies. Story 13. I watched Sons of Anarchy and thought that Jax was a good pet name. When I got my black cat, I named him Jax. I also got an orange and white cat. He reminded me of Tails from Sonic because of the placement of his white patches. Tails' full name is Miles Prower, so my orange cat is named Miles. My third cat has a potato shape, so I named her Gnocchi. Story 14. Sometimes it's hard. My friend got a new dog and kept trying to find the perfect name but couldn't decide. Her 5-year-old kept calling it Puppy, so Puppy became its name by default. Story 15. I have always said I wanted a black kitten named Sunshine. When we adopted her, it was the perfect name for her. With our second kitten, we kept thinking of Bella for some reason. When we met her, it turned out to be the perfect name for her personality. Story 16. I wait until I see their personalities come out. My last 3 cats have been foster fails, so I had their names figured out before I officially adopted them. My current 2 are Pirate Queen Snuggles von Bleppington, Snugs for short, and first mate Sasquatch Jones, Jonesy for short. Snugs only has one eye, so she had to be a pirate. Before she lost the eye, she was going to be Queen Snuggles Licks-Your-Face Screamy Pants. First of her name. She does blep a lot, so when I changed it, I had to add a nod to that. Jonesy had to be the first mate on her pirate ship, and I added Sasquatch because he has ginormous feet. Well, all of him is ginormous now, but his feet are still too big for him. Story 17. I was watching Vikings and loved the way Floki's name was pronounced. I was also getting a Shih Tzu puppy at the same time, so Floki it was. Story 18. Mine was already named at the place where he was. They said I could change the name since he was still young, but the name suited him so well and was unique, so I kept it. It's interesting how, as a child, you have an idea of what you will name your dog or cat if you get one. Often, after you get one, the name changes because the pet has a different personality and vibes with something completely different. Story 19. My ex and I made a list of names we wanted for the kitten we were getting. The day I picked up the kitten, I called him by each name, and Gambit was the one he responded to with a loud meow. Story 20. We were getting a black lab and we couldn't agree on a name. Eventually, we settled on Luna, and it stuck. Her nickname became Lunatic because she was a lovable lunatic. Bless her. Story 21. We like to name our pets after characters from books or movies. My dog is named Bran, but it is not because of Game of Thrones. It was actually a character in a book my husband read. Story 22. I named my cats after the first thing I saw when I got them. So far, I have Cloudy Sky, Rain Puddles, and Corny. Story 23. Artemis is black with a small white diamond on her chest. She wanted a huntress name. Mr. Mistopheles is a tuxedo cat named after the tuxedo cat from the play Cats. Not the movie. Hobbs is an orange cat named after Calvin and Hobbes. Story 24. My wife and I have chosen names based on TV and movie characters, as well as video game characters. For example, we have had names such as Parmesan, Feeney, Burns, Mosby, Giles, Finch, and Maverick. Story 25. I didn't name my current cat, but I did rename my chinchilla when I got him. He's cute, albino, and small like a potato dumpling, so his name is Gnocchi. Story 26. I named my cat Beatrice because when she was a kitten and I adopted her, she reminded me of B. Arthur and Dorothy. I can't explain it. Story 27. I had a stray kitten that chose her name. She picked Obsidian. She would lay across my neck like a necklace, and she is a black cat. I said, Obsidian, and she looked at me, so I concluded that was her name. Story 28. Sometimes I name them based on what they remind me of, while other times it is based on something I like. One of my dogs, when he was a newborn puppy, had gray fur, so I named him Dorian Gray. His sister is named Audrey because a Japanese musician I like has a song by that name. Story 29. Sometimes they refer to themselves as random creatures. I am also a big fan of human names, which can lead to confusion with colleagues. Story 30. My dog is Twiggy. I always thought it would be a good pet name. The fact that it was a former model's nickname adds to its charm. Story 31. You select 10 of your favorite song titles. Check if any of them can be used as a pet name. That's how my dog was named Mambo. The song was Black Mambo. He has a golden appearance, so the black was omitted. Story 32. I named my ferret Peanut Butter because he likes peanut butter. His sister is named Bitey since she bit me once, but she is very cute. Story 33. Every pet I've had as an adult was adopted after they were named, so I didn't even have to think about it, except for the fish. We let the kids name them, resulting in Dump Truck Scooper and Dump Truck Scooper 2. Story 34. This is my strange logic. I thought to myself, what is the opposite of Donald Trump? Daisy. So I named her Daisy. Story 35. I just came up with names on the spot. The snake is named Boots, the dog is Jake, the cats are Smokey, Ashes, Cold, Ember, and Stimpy. The bird is Chester, and the mouse is Lunch. I don't think too hard about it. I just call them whatever comes naturally in the moment. Story 36. The question reminds me of a television show about zoo animals. where the zoo workers named a pig Sneaky, because that pig always tried to sneak away. To answer the question, I would either name my pets based on their features or give them human names. Story 37. A friend of mine would look up dog or cat in other languages and go with that. For example, the last cat was named Nico, which is Japanese for cat. As for me, I rely on the vibe. If I'm not finding the right vibe, I just ask my wife or daughter. The only real rule I have is regarding non-human names. Nicknames like Buddy or nicknames derived from non-human names are acceptable. So Belle from Tinkerbell is okay, but Belle from Beauty and the Beast is not. Story 38. It depends. Sometimes they already had a name, and sometimes they were named after characters from books or movies. Occasionally, I asked my mom and she suggested George, which is always her answer if you ask her what to name something. Story 39. Don't overthink it. Ming, our pug. Teddy Snugglepants, our bear coat Shar-Pei. Pepper, our black bear coat Shar-Pei. Monster Trunk, our Boston and pug mix. And Steve, the leopard gecko. Story 40. It just kind of happens. My hamster Willow got her name from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. A week later, I wanted to change her name to Gizmo, but it was too late. She was Willow. She hates bright lights, which is why I wanted to change it. My husky came with the name Shadow, but I always wanted to call a dog Shadow, so it worked. My animals slowly get names. Some of my fish have names and some don't. The same goes for the shrimp and snails. My rats had interesting names. Splinter and Remy, which are obvious. Taylor because she was a ranger, and Blade because her markings looked like the helmet of Kamen Rider Blade. Taku is the robot from Time Ranger. Len, Kit, and Kaze were from Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. Dante and Virgil are from Devil May Cry. Generally, all the names come from TV shows and movies, I guess. Story 41. Depends on breakfast. I stopped doing the same after Dead Hooker the V. I do whatever the specific meal is now. Forearm, my dog. Back trimmings, my cat. Thigh 1 and thigh 2, my goldfish. I am waiting on a special pet to be liver, though. Story 42. Movies and TV shows feature characters and themes that are rarely used for dogs. In my work with dogs, the common names are quite amusing. It is not unusual to have 4 dogs named Bella, Bailey, Charlie, and Cooper at the same time. Story 43. We were torn between Ripley and Maggie for our puppy. She walked away when we called her Maggie, but when we said Ripley, her head turned back so quickly it felt like time stopped. So technically, she decided. Story 44. All but 2 already came with their names. I just adapted the spelling. The 2 I named were cats found on a Saturday night while we were getting ready to go out. We had to cancel because of them, so they're named after a cocktail. Story 45. I just wait until their personality starts to show and go from there. Although we did have one cat we named Le Cat, like the car. Story 46. I'm not having kids ever, but I always said if I had a daughter, my name for her would be Darwin. When my white boxer puppy was placed in my arms, my friend questioned, "Tell me that is not a Darwin?" And that's what she was. My Darwin. Story 47. My last 2 brother kittens, I knew I wanted matching names. I settled on Frick and Frank because I am against fracking. Story 48. Cats should not be given names with C, F, or K sounds because to cats, they resemble spitting and hissing, which are considered angry sounds. Additionally, strong R sounds, like in the name Roger, may not be suitable for dogs either. Story 49. I don't spend much time on names since cats respond to your voice, not your words. I tend to use sweetie and babe frequently. Cat 1. I use the name given by the Humane Society. Cat 2. A stray tomcat I thought might not be around long, but he stayed 14 years. I called him Tomcat, Mr. Tom, or Fuzzbutt. He had no tail. Cat 3. The Humane Society named her Odessa. She's a gray cat. Some people believe all gray cats are Russian blues, but she's just a mix. I realized that Odessa is in Ukraine, not Russia, but maybe the humane volunteers were unaware. I thought it would sound silly calling for Odessa at night, so I changed her name to Tessa. Cat 4. I got thunder during a stormy June. Cat 5. Cinders was a black cat with orange eyes. Story 50. We altered the names given by the Humane Society. We have Sugar and Maple, who were originally named Meshuga and May, respectively. Story 51. All of our pets have traditional human names, specifically generic old people names. Beyond that, we just go by the vibes. Story 52. What sounds cute and easy to remember while being relevant to the pet's personality? Story 53. I always let my children name our pets. Once, close to Christmas, our dog was named Prancer. Another time, my son learned that we almost named him Michael, so we had a cat named Michael. It worked out well because the names were usually unique enough to bring a smile to people's faces. Story 54. You go based on vibes or whatever name the pet responds to, which is how my dog Batman got his name. Story 55. My wife named our 3 chihuahuas because they were her dogs. Her logic was quite random. Mama equals Bomi, a cute way to say spring and a very popular Korean pet name. First daughter equals Huchu, pepper in Korean, because her fur is a combination of black and golden brown. Second daughter equals Bailey, a cute way to say star. I have no idea why she chose that. Bomi had a son too, whom she named Leo because he resembled a majestic lion. He was rehomed before I even met my wife. When Bomi was the only dog she had, my wife also adopted a rescue chihuahua named Haru, which means a single day. My wife adopted him immediately to save him from his abusive owner. She said it comes from Harumane Guheso, which means she saved him in a single day. Unfortunately, Haru had to be given to my wife's aunt once Bomi got pregnant. Her aunt let us take care of Haru for 3 days, and I really loved that dog. Of all the dogs my wife raised, Haru was probably the one I connected with the most. He also has the derpiest expression, which I adored. Story 56. My family made our decisions based on our interests. One of our dogs was named Jedi and another was named Trooper. We love Star Wars. When we got our first cat, my brother was learning Russian, so we named her Savi. Story 57. It depends. I got my first dog's name from a baby name book. For some reason, it just suited her. I named my second dog with a name that reflected New Mexico, since that's where I got her. The name has to fit their personality and appearance, and I can't quite describe how I decide on that. Story 58. It depends on how I'm feeling and my interests. I have a cat named Guinevere and a cat named Annabelle. Story 59. My tortoiseshell cat was named Confetti at the shelter, and I loved it, so the name stuck. My long-haired black cat was named Stella, but I wasn't fond of that name, so my son renamed her Luna Lovegood, also known as Bazooka Joe. She often goes by Bazooka and will respond to it. Story 60. My roommate's cat had a litter during COVID, and I decided to keep one since I had wanted to get a cat at the time. They all had placeholder names. I was originally going to pick a particular one, but I was chosen by another. His name, Hey, stuck. It was the name of the protagonist from an anime called Darker Than Black, and he is an all-black cat. So, Hey, it stayed. Story 61. My late father came up with the name of the older of my 2 chihuahuas, though I have no idea where he got it. He joked that it was from a model who once joked about Hurricane Katrina before it hit New Orleans. The younger chihuahua was a rescue, and I decided to keep her name to help with her transition from being a breeding dog to a family pet. I named the youngest pet a black tabby Maine Coon. I initially thought it was a male, so I named it after a bear and a character played by Chris Tucker. I took the cat for routine vaccinations and asked the veterinarian to check its anatomy to ensure it was developing correctly. I was informed that the cat was the same sex as the dogs. In other words, my Maine Coon was actually a female and has an attitude unlike her Chihuahua roommates. Story 62. My boy was originally named Da Vinci. We call him Axel now, but he goes by Papa most of the time. Axel because he's a ginger like Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. His sister was named Mercury, like Freddie Mercury. Her name was originally Monet. Story 63. My first dog, who was mine and not just my parents' dog, was still a family dog. I picked her out from the litter and named her Geisha Girl, or Gigi for short. Her littermate brother, My sister's dog was named Kuma. We lived in Japan when we got them. Kuma means bear in Japanese, and I collected geisha dolls, which inspired her name. My second dog was named Okami, but it was eventually changed to Okami. Okami means wolf in Japanese. I love wolves. They are my favorite animal. I no longer lived in Japan when I got him, but I still liked the name and its meaning. He was half husky and half Shih Tzu. His mother was a husky, and a Shih Tzu got into my friend's yard and mated with her while she was lying down. I named a cat we adopted Brindle. She was a tortoiseshell cat, all brindle-colored, and she wasn't ours to begin with, but eventually, she became ours. She figured out the dog door and just let herself in. The cat I currently have adopted me after she started coming around the house. I named her Dusky as a temporary name while I tried to find her original owners, but I never did. She was named Dusky because she chose to attach herself to me, and my name is Dawn, so it just kind of worked. It just depends on the animal, I guess. Story 64. We thought she sort of looked like that cat from the Boondock Saints that Rocco blew up, so we named her Skippy. We convinced our stepmom that Ms. Jingles was a cute name. 3 months later, we told her about the Green Mile. Originally, his name was Rocky because he had a large ball sack. But it turns out Rocky was an extremely rare hermaphrodite cat, and he came back pregnant. The cat was chipped too, so we knew it was ours. Now her name is Bruce. The day Riley stops humping everything that moves, we will change her name. Jody, so I can say my girlfriend is home alone with Jody. Story 65. It usually takes several days to find a name. If I can't come up with a single name, I will choose several names and write them on pieces of paper. I will wad them up and throw them on the ground, and whichever one the pet picks up will be their name. Story 66. I got one of my cats from my mom, and she already had a name, so we kept it. My first cat was found on a walk. She was named after the topic of conversation. We decided that names related to dirty, oily, stinky, or scrawny were a bad idea. Fortunately, she's clean, smells nice, and is no longer scrawny. A turtle from my childhood was named Tommy, after a Tommy gun from a show. I asked my dad what kind of gun one of the monsters was using. Story 67. My mom adopted them and named them after characters from a 1980s movie starring Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Story 68. I try to imagine whether I can reasonably see myself saying the name daily. Ideally, it should not be too much of a tongue twister while being unique enough to be memorable and meaningful. Story 69. I keep whatever name they came with. That's the name they know. I wouldn't want to confuse them by giving them a different one. Story 70. I love naming my cats after other animals. Goose, mamba, turkey. Something really silly but also kind of cute. Story 71. It really depends. All my cats have come with names, and all but 2 received new names because they didn't seem to fit. Sometimes it took a week or so to really get to know them and give them proper names. I'm very happy with my kitties' names, and they seem to like them too. Story 72. I've had rescues, so they had names beforehand. My current dog, however, almost had his name changed. He looked kind of like a Gus, but when I met this guy, his name fit him perfectly. Story 73. I create a list of names I like when I see pictures. After I meet the animals, I choose names based on what I feel suits them best. This led me to Finnegan. My wiry terrier mix started as Huckleberry, like Huck Finn, but Finn seemed like a better fit, so he became Finnegan. Cosmo, because I was growing cosmos for the first time and fell in love with them, plus my husband loves Seinfeld, and Cosmo is Kramer's first name. He's a black cat, which makes me think of the cosmos, and Oliver, he's a silly orange cat, and it just made sense. Story 74. As a teacher, I knew our dog couldn't have a human name. We watched a show where there was a dog named after a 1950s French movie star, which we thought would work. In the end, we named our girl after the French singer Delida. Story 75. I found him near the Hampton Inn. The other looked like a panda when she was born. I named her Lady Beatrice because I wanted a dog I could call Lady B after my Zelda avatar name. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.